Hello, welcome back to Farmbiz with Markay. I'll be talking about our drinkers that we use for broiler production or poultry production generally. Now today I will be talking about the manual drinkers, the bell drinkers, and the nipple drinkers, which is actually the best, if you may ask. Now, water consumption is one of the indicators you can use to measure the overall health of your birds, to know how well they are doing. Water consumption is one of the indicators you can use to measure that. But then, which drinkers is best for us to really deliver this water to our birds, you may ask. So that is the purpose of this video. As a beginner, I know the best drinkers you might want to opt for is the manual drinkers, because it's cheaper and it's easy to use. But is it really the best? Because we have the bell drinkers, the nipple drinkers, and the manual drinkers. Now remember, for broiler production, it is very, very key to ensure that the litters is not moist, it's not wet at all times. And if it happens, as I always say, ensure you pack that spot and replace with another litters, or you pack it, sun dry it before bringing it back to the pen. This is to avoid the spread of coccidiosis in your pen. This is also very, very important. Now, when it comes to manual drinkers, does it really keep the pen that dried? The answer is no. Because from this video you are seeing on the screen right now, you can see the area around the drinker is wet. It's wet, sort of. That is for manual drinkers. No matter how you place it, because you observe that the chicks or the bears, as soon as they dip their beak in the water, they lift up their head, and then while you're using gravity to let that water go into their crop. During the process of doing this, the floor around where the manual drinker is will become messed up, wet. Now, this makes the labor to be more intensive. In other words, you spend more time in cleaning this space around the manual drinkers to keep the litters dried. So it increased the labor, but as a beginner, this might be the best option for you. As of today, the cost of these 3 liters drinkers you are seeing right now is about 1,100 in my area. But for this other bigger one, it's about 2,500 to 3,000. This is for this about 10 liters drinkers. Now, this is not as costly as that of the nipple drinkers and the bed drinkers. No, but because of the cost, some might want to opt for this manual drinker. But I can assure you, the labor is very, very intensive. So if you want to go for the manual drinker, it's good. And because another thing, you must ensure you wash them as often as possible to keep the drinkers clean. So that increases the labor when it comes to the manual drinkers. For the manual drinkers, you see, they will tell you for the 3 liters drinkers, 50 chicks to one 3 liters drinkers. Then for the bigger ones, which is the 10 liters drinkers, they tell you about 20 birds to one 10 liters drinkers for the manual drinkers. But that's according to research they've carried out in a controlled environment. But as I always say, the environment where I raise my birds is not a controlled environment. So what I do, if they assume 50 chicks to one 3 liters chicks drinker, that is the manual drinkers, I reduced mine to about 25 or 30 chicks to one manual drinkers, so that they will all have access to water at all times. In other words, increase the number of drinkers. That's for the manual drinkers. Now, when it comes to the bigger ones also, instead of assuming 30 or 25, I reduced it to about 10 or 15, so that they will all have access to drinking water. Now, this is very important, especially during the hot season, because in order to avoid this heat stress, they drink water as often as possible. So you need to ensure there is much of these manual drinkers to be sure that they all have access to this cool water at all times. Now, remember also, these manual drinkers can easily be messed up, not just the floor around where the manual drinker is, but the drinker itself. Because no matter how you position it, the birds or the chicks will definitely poo inside the manual drinkers. Now, you see, this increases the chance of coccidiosis in your pen. So when it comes to hygiene, this might not be the best option as a drinker you should use in your poultry production. So that, and at times, one other thing that I've observed also in using these manual drinkers, you see, at times when there is a little water left in the drinkers, the birds can easily turn it over, thereby spilling water in the pen, which will increase the spread of coccidiosis and build up of ammonia in your pen. And we don't want this. So as a beginner, you can go for it. And if you know you have the time, the energy to keep cleaning it and all of that, you can go for these manual drinkers. Now, the next thing we'll also talk about, the next drinker, which is a very good one, is the bird drinkers. You can see it here. I love this. Very, very good. The birds, they love drinking from this. Now, this is also, if you look at it closely, where the birds are drinking from is more or less like that of manual drinkers. The only difference is that as the birds drink, more water comes into the bird drinkers. As they drink, more water comes in. Now, the risk of messing up the bird drinkers is also there when it comes to this type of drinker, because the birds, they will definitely poo inside that bird drinkers. This also increases the labor, though it's not as intensive as that of the manual drinkers. So because every day, like the one I use, the one you are seeing right now, every day I come around, wash the body like this. Then, you know, when they drink from the bird drinkers and the manual drinkers, when they drink from it, you see, so you meet some feed in the drinker around this, where they drink from, you meet some feed. The feed that couldn't go into their crop as they bend down to drink from the bird drinker or the manual drinkers, some of those feed will come to the drinker, thereby messing up the water and the bird drinkers at large. So you need to keep cleaning this in order to ensure that there is fresh water available to the birds at all time. This is for bird drinkers. Now, when it comes to cost too, this is quite expensive. The one I would say is the most expensive among the drinkers, because as at the time of making this video, each bird drinkers that is recommended for 50 birds is being sold for about 17,500 naira as at the time of making this video, compared to the manual drinker that is being sold for 2,500 to 3,000 naira as at the time of making this video. Now you can see the cost difference, because for that of 17,000 naira, you can buy about 5. When it comes to the manual drinkers, the cost of about 5 compared to the cost of one bird drinkers. But however, where the advantage lies is this, because for the bird drinkers, each bird drinkers, according to research, they say it can take about 50 birds. That's 50 chicks. Then for mature birds, about 30 or 25, as the case may be. Again, my environment is not a controlled environment. So what I do, since I discovered that the recommendation is 50, what I do, I reduce it drastically to about 20 or 25 to 1 bird drinkers. That is what I do. Bird drinker is very good, though the initial installation cost is quite expensive, considering the cost of 3/4 pipe, then considering the cost of the bird drinkers as well as labor that will do the plumbing and all of that is quite expensive. That is for the bird drinkers, and it's very, very good when it comes to broiler production, provided you are ready to keep the maintenance top notch. Now, this brings us to the last point, I would say, the nipple drinkers. This is one of the best nipple drinkers for broilers that I have seen. The drinkers we've all mentioned so far, they are all very, very good when it comes to poultry production. But it depends on your preference and the available resources at your disposal. That is, how much do you want to invest in this your poultry endeavor? So that might determine what you should go for. But if you are like me, that doesn't want to spend much time washing drinkers and all of that, you can opt for the automatic drinkers, either the bird drinker or the nipple drinkers. Now, we are here to talk about the nipple drinkers. This is very sweet. Now, when you want to know how to install these nipple drinkers, you can check out my video here on how to install nipple drinkers with tank, both the part 1 and the part 2. So there is detailed explanation on how to install the nipple drinkers with Cobb and the tank using the 20 liters pent rubber. I was able to do that, and I've been using that in so many batch of broilers that I've been raising. Now, when you discover these nipple drinkers with Cobb makes the floor drier, because as they peck on the pin, that's the only time the water will come out. Now, initially when I was using these nipple drinkers, when I started using it, I thought they weren't drinking from the nipple drinkers that much compared to the manual drinkers, but that wasn't true. When I look at the tank, I discovered that the water is almost empty. I was like, does it mean the water, the outlet, that somebody opened the outlet and allowed the water to run, to flush out, or what? So I filled the tank again. In no time, that tank got empty again. Then I know, okay, these birds, they are really drinking from these nipple drinkers. How do you train your chicks to really know how to drink from these nipple drinkers starting from day one? You don't need to train them. Once one chick peck on that pin, and he discovered that that's where water is coming from, because as soon as you introduce them to the brooder, they are exploring all the places. They want to know, what's here, what's that, is this where the feed is this where the water is, and all of that. So as soon as one peck on that pin and he discovered that that's where water is coming from, before you know it, they will all rush to that pin and be drinking from that pin. You don't need to train them at all. All you need to do, you need to bring it down a little to a little above the eye level, or at the eye level at day one, because as they peck on that pin, they don't need to raise their head up again to get the water to their crop. It goes in directly, thereby reducing the spillage of water in the litter. Again, advantage of this is the cup. As they peck on that pin, you discover that the excess water that would have sprayed on the litter is dropping on the cup. And dropping on the cup, it doesn't just end there. You see some of them drinking that one from the cup. Now, this is less labor intensive when it comes to maintenance and all of that. Though what I do, I don't want to assume that all the nipples are working every day. Or I go there maybe like 2 or 3 times a day. I just type on the pin round to be sure that water is actually coming out from them. So I do this now. What I also do in terms of maintaining this nipple, I go to the cup, look for a clean foam, and then clean each cup. Within the shortest time, I'm done. Now, when it comes to these nipple drinkers, to how many should you assume per number of chicks? Now, the recommendation is that you should assume about, 20 to 1 nipple drinkers. Again, like I always say, my pen is not a controlled environment. So I assume 10 chicks to 1 nipple drinker when they are young. So as they grow older, I reduce this number per nipple drinkers. That is how I do it. Now, again, when you look at this, what is the cost of purchase of these nipple drinkers compared to bird drinkers and the manual drinkers? As at the time of recording this video, the cost of 1 nipple drinker, just like the type you are seeing right now, is about 560 naira to 600 naira per one. Now, if one can take care of 10 chicks for me, that means for 100, I'll be needing about 10. Again, there is need for excess. You could do 12, do 13 as the case may be, so that they don't have to struggle for water. It's very important. Now, when you consider the cost of installation of this nipple drinker, this is somehow a little less expensive compared to the bird drinkers. You need to buy pipe, buy some glue, then some plumbing like the 3/4 pipe, 3/4 coupler, 3/4 T, and all of that to get this installed. Again, if you want to know how to install this, I have a detailed video on how to install bird drinkers and the nipple drinkers in my channel, very detailed. So when you install your bird drinker and your nipple drinkers, there needs to be a tank, because if you want to administer medication to your birds or your chicks, there has to be somewhere you need to put the medication for them to drink from. So in that case, that is where the tank actually comes to play. So I discovered that going to buy that tank will drastically increase the cost of installation of this nipple drinker. So what I did, I looked for 20 liters paint rubber, the one you can see here. So I was able to work on it, to use it to do my tank. Very effective. I've been using it, no leakage and all of that. So I know in my subsequent video, I'm still going to make a video on how to install another, just the tank, in case you want to hook it up to your bird drinkers or your nipple drinker system. It will be very easy for you. Now, another challenge with nipple drinkers that I will say is because over time, you see some biofilm built up in the pipe. There is need to flush the pipe with chlorine or isoclone. That's what it's called. Then you boil water, put it inside that tank, drop some tablets inside that tank, then allow the water to flow into the pipe and leave it there for overnight. before coming to flush it severally until you don't perceive that odor of chlorine again. So this is to ensure the biofilm that might, or bacteria that might be built up in the pipe, they are all destroyed or killed before using it to raise your beds. Though this is what I do after every batch of bed I raise. After every batch of beds I raise, I flush it. But at times I don't wait until the beds I dispose of the beds before flushing it. After like 1 month or so, I flush them, then clean, ensure they don't drink that chlorinated water before allowing the fresh water to flow in. That is for the nipple drinkers. Now, at the end, you discover that the cost of installing these nipple drinkers is not that much, and it will save you time, save you stress. Because during heat stress, you observe that the water coming from the nipple is a little warm, and your beds do not need that. So what I do, I ensure somebody is at home to keep flushing that water during that sunny day, to keep opening the outlet for the water to run out. After a while, when it's discovered that the water is cooler now, they turn the tap off again so that there will be fresh water for them to drink from. Now, which should you go for? Having known the pros and the cons of each of these drinkers. But remember again, it depends on your pocket. It depends on how much you want to invest in this poultry endeavor. If you have the money, you have the expertise to really manage it for you, go for the automatic drinking system. It's very good. It will save you a whole lot of time and money in the long run. Now, when it comes to durability, which of these is more durable? I can tell you the nipple drinkers, the bell drinkers, they are more durable, because these manual drinkers, over time, you see some leakages. After some time, if care is not taken, you see while trying to lift them up, it may just fall from your hand. Before you know it will break. So that happened to me severally. So I decided to go for automatic drinking system. So since I started using the automatic drinking system, I've never regretted it, and I love it so much. So this is all I have for you today. If you find this video helpful, kindly do well to hit the subscribe button, like and comment in the comment section below, as this will do a whole lot for us in helping us to grow our channel and reach a larger audience. Thank you so very much. I love you all.